Hi everybody, John Cena here, and welcome to this latest edition of FUNKQUEST with Luke Roberts from Luke. Is it the British YoYo Association?
That's right, yeah, absolutely.
And where are you dialing in from, Luke?
Gloucester.
To us before, we've got loads of stuff for you to get into when you listen to this episode. We've got competitive eating with Dorsey. We've got former UK ambassador to North Korea, John Everard, London Marathon winner, Dina Castor, Domino's. We've got loads of interesting stuff to get into, but I'm interested now in yo-yos. So, you have a yo-yo shop where you sell all this?
I have a yo-yo store. Yeah, I have a yo-yo store online called Yo-Yo Village. So I sell a range of yo-yos from beginner to professional yo-yos. And then the association itself, the British YoYo Association, is just myself and a couple of other friends, colleagues, and we put together yo-yo contests a couple of times a year across the UK in different locations. We've got our regionals coming up in just 2 weeks' time, and then we usually have our nationals around sort of April, May, June time. And then if you win one of those contests, you get seeded to the next contest up. So if you win the UK nationals, you get seeded to either the European or the World Championships.
Wow.
And they take place, the Europe Championships usually in Prague, and the World Championships move between Asia, America, and Europe.
Is it big over there? US, Europe? Is it big over there? I guess it's the same audience, right?
Yeah, so this year's Worlds was in Japan. Then due to COVID, unfortunately, we didn't have Worlds since 2019. But it's been in Florida, it's been in Iceland, it's been in Prague, it's been in China. It goes all over the place.
The rules of FUNKQUEST are simple. Each Funkster selects one of 4 icons. Behind each icon is a question which may or may not have anything to do with the icon. The Funkster then has 1 minute to tell a story, tell a joke, or maybe even answer the question. So, for question number 1, you can pick, and these are all unusual sports, or semi-unusual, chess boxing, piggyback races, elephant polo, or knife throwing.
There's got to be elephant polo.
How much history and culture do you already have?
The yo-yo itself is actually the world's second oldest toy next to the doll. There's pictures on Greek pottery going back to 2500 BC of old Grecian people playing with yo-yos. So we go back quite a way, and it's been called a whole lot of different names in the past, Bandolore. The modern day yo-yo, though, is probably from around sort of like 1928 when it was brought from the Philippines to America. And in terms of our actual association, the British YoYo Association, we go back to about 1998, which was when the last huge worldwide yo-yo craze was.
Is it something that comes and goes, in popular culture? I guess.
Yeah, historically, there's been crazes sort of around every 10 years. There was the big Coca-Cola craze of the late 80s, the craze that I started in, which was in the late 90s. There's crazes in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Nowadays, though, the whole craze thing has kind of changed a bit, especially with the internet and so on. So we just kind of have a slowly growing player base, and obviously as kids get older and discover it, more kids join and some adults pick it back up. But yeah, that's kind of how we're growing. Cool,
excellent, good answer. I didn't know that about the ancient Egypt. Okay, question 2, you can pick Quidditch, old style wrestling, lawnmower racing, or football, tennis.
Well, I'm a Harry Potter fan, so it's got to be Quidditch.
Okay, what friction have you had from mainstream sports?
None, to my knowledge, really. I mean, I guess it's yo-yoing is quite a unique hobby. Sometimes the general public will view it as something that kids do rather than something that adults do. Obviously, kids do it as well, but no, from actual mainstream sports, I don't think we've had any, to be honest.
None at all. That's good. So you just go where would you typically yo? In a pub or in a when you see a nice girl?
Well, pretty much anywhere. That's they just fit right in your pocket. So that's what's brilliant about them. But when we have contests, usually it's in a stadium or a theatre or something like that for when we have our contest. But casually, just anywhere you like, really.
I'd love to know more about contests, which hopefully we're going to do in a subsequent question. So no friction from mainstream sports. Excellent. Question 3, darts, that's not an unusual sport. Darts, pillow fighting, chariot boat racing, or ostrich racing?
Ostrich racing.
Ostrich racing. Where did you learn about this sport? How did it get into Luke's head or house? Or
so back when I was in secondary school, I was about 14. There was a big global craze around yo-yos. It was to do with the yo-yo with the brain that had like this little clutch system in it, so that whereas normally you have to tug on a yo-yo to get it to come back up, this clutch system brought the yo-yo back automatically. And there was like TV promotions, contests all over the world, demo teams, that sort of thing. And that's where I started. And I just never stopped, really. And that was 25 years ago now.
So is it something that you'll go to your local, I mean, we go to Sheffield Uni, and would there be a yo-yo society there, or Nottingham? Or
No, it's a little bit more niche than that. A lot of the sort of communities are online based, especially for yo-yoing anyway. We do have the odd yo-yo clubs and the odd yo-yo meet across the country, but in general, it's pretty much all online at the moment.
I guess COVID therefore didn't affect you at all. Your sport carried on.
No, it actually improved it. We had so many more people pick up the hobby because they were stuck inside and couldn't do anything. So yeah, we ended up having a lot more people pick it up in the end.
Excellent. Good answer. Good answer. Next question. Question 4. Sumo wrestling, speed ironing, what is that? Bicycle football, or rolling down the hill cheese racing?
Well, I live about 2 minutes away from where they do the cheese rolling, so I'll go for the cheese rolling.
Oh. Okay. What injuries have you had from yo-yoing?
Normally, the kind of injuries sustained from yo-yoing would be like RSI, due to sort of like the constant risk. Tennis elbow, I've had that a couple of times. I've also hit myself in the face. You can sort of look online and you'll see a few videos of people using metal yo-yos and kind of getting it to the eye and having to have stitches and stuff. But that's probably the worst I've heard. And yeah, my worst ones have just been tennis elbow probably. So nothing exciting, I'm afraid.
How many hours would you need to do yo-yo to get tennis elbow or a repetitive strain injury or something like that?
Well, there's this saying that it takes about 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. I don't know if I've done 10,000 hours worth of yo-yoing, but I'm probably quite close. Yeah, quite a lot. No, back when I started, I was yo-yoing sort of 2-3 hours a day, maybe. So yeah, so some of the kids who start up now will do even more, sort of 4, 5, 6 hours. So probably around that sort of time. If you're the casual yo-yoer, no worries.
I'm just imagining going to the doctors over the stresses and strains that they're under, and you say, "Oh, I've got tennis elbow from playing tennis, now doing yo-yo." I wonder what they'd say. Next question. Question 5. Weightlifting, fencing, zorbing, or bicycle underwater?
Zorbing.
Zorbing. Excellent. Which other sports prepared you or anybody for this one?
I guess if you're into any kind of circus skills, really, so juggling, diabolo, spin tops, poi, that sort of thing, anything that requires a lot of hand-eye coordination, that can really help. But also, I think, without sounding really old, back when I was a kid, we did a lot more. We did a lot more stuff sort of outside, a lot more sort of handheld games. Not video games, but just sort of more ambidextrous, I think we were. So these days it can actually be a bit harder for kids to pick up yo-yoing compared to back then. So if you're into juggling, if you're into diabolo, any circus skill, that'll certainly help.
Right, now then, I have in my pocket by an accident what is this? Yofinity Mesmer yo-yo. So could you teach me how to do this? It says
I absolutely can.
It says it's a trick yo-yo, so I don't know what's going to happen when I open the box.
Yeah, I've got one of those myself, so I know it works. So you've bought a yo-yo with what's called a transaxle. Right. So a lot of the traditional yo-yos, for example, a lot of people might remember sort of older wooden yo-yos like this, like the Coca-Cola yo-yo, where it's just kind of a one piece with the string wrapped around the axle, and it will largely go up and down. But the yo-yo you've got will have either a plastic or a metal ball bearing on the inside, and the string goes over that, and that's what allows the yo-yo to spin at the bottom for doing harder tricks. When you take the yo-yo out of the packet, you'll probably see at the one end you'll have a knot with a loop of string. Have you got that?
Yes.
Most people will just try and put their finger straight through that loop of string. Often it's, as you can probably see, it's a bit too big. So you've got to do what's called a slip knot. So all you want to do is open up that loop and then grab another bit of yo-yo string and just push it through that loop. That's it. So you can then put it on your finger like that. It goes on your middle finger between your first and second knuckle, and then you just can pull it nice and snug like that.
So I've learned something straight out. I failed in the first. Right. So now
when the yo-yo is in the palm of your hand like this, you want to make sure that the string is going over the top of the yo-yo, because if it's going underneath the yo-yo, it's going to jam when you try and throw it. So you want to make sure, making like a little slide, we're going to do the throw. So you want to make a muscle with your arm, just like this.
Yep.
Curl your hand inwards. So rather than being like that, you want to be, that's it, lift your elbow up. Now, without doing anything just yet, just watch me first. What we're going to do is your arm's going to come forward till it's about 90 degrees. You're going to release the yo-yo. It'll spin at the bottom, hopefully. Then you're going to turn your hand over and give it a bit of a flick, and it should come back up.
Oh, it's fallen on the floor and just gone like that.
So what happened is when we release the yo-yo, you've got to keep your hand still. When you threw it, your hand carried on towards the ground, and that's why the yo-yo smashed on the ground.
So am I going to make
So now the next challenge is doing it back up. Okay? So you'll find that if you grab the string and just wind it, you'll probably find it just keep winding and winding and winding around the string, around the yo-yo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just grab the yo-yo half just like that. Okay. See how I've got all my fingers around the half of the yo-yo like that? Now you're going to stick your index finger right across the gap of the yo-yo.
Oh, across the top.
Excellent. Right. Yeah. Now just grab somewhere down here on the string, and what you're going to do is you're going to wrap once over your finger. Yeah. You can either do it towards you or away. So you're going to wrap once over your finger, and then you're going to lift your finger up a little bit, and then wrap a few times underneath the finger. That's it. And then you take your finger out of that loop, and you just very gently keep winding round. That's okay. That's absolutely fine. That will, when you throw it, that little knot will come out. So you'll be fine.
Let's try that again. So finger there, arm like this, and then. Oh, you see that word? It's gone up. That was not bad. That was out of 10. I feel like I'm on Generation Game. Try this, and then you can show us how it's really done.
Sure, no problem.
How long we do?
So remember, when you release it, you want to keep your elbow up. So although your arm's coming forward, you want to keep your hand up here, because if you bring it down, it's going to smash into the floor.
All right. Okay.
That's it. So make a muscle.
Yep.
Then throw it forward and don't bring your hand all the way down.
So it's still spinning. Is that? Oh, that's good.
Okay. Now turn your hand over so that your palm is facing to the floor, and just give it a bit of a tug.
No.
That's probably going to spin.
Right. Okay. So you tell us. You do some tricks then. Like say you're in a competition. I'm the judge. You got to give me your top 3 tricks.
Okay. Well, just to go over something very briefly first. When you're yo-yoing these days, originally yo-yos were what we called responsive, like this one. So beginner ones usually are, which means that when you tug on it, it'll come back up to your hand. So you can do the beginner tricks like rock the baby, the elevator, man on the flying trapeze.
Yeah.
Okay. But modern day yo-yos are what we call unresponsive. When we tug on it, it won't actually come back up to our hand. We have to do a trick called a bind to get it to come back up. But what that means is it will spin an awful lot longer. That means we can do more complicated tricks.
Yeah. So you said about ambidextrous. Could you do this in your non-dominant hand?
Yeah, so I've actually got, just off to the side here, another style of yo-yoing is basically using 2 yo-yos.
Yeah. Nice.
So what we can do is do like that.
That's cool. That is cool. That is cool. That made my eyes go funny like that. So do you just pull that out of your pocket and just like you're a train station, you'll just draw a crowd, won't you?
Yeah, well, sometimes, mostly people are just kind of paying attention, doing their own thing, which is good because I'm not, when I'm at a train station, for example, I don't really want loads of people watching me. I just kind of like to hide in the corner and just yo-yo. But sometimes you get people coming up to you, asking you for help, show them a trick, that sort of thing, which is really nice.
So you said about tricks and competitions. Is it something that you would go to a leisure centre or something like that? And how is it judged? How is it?
So the way we do it is we do a performance 3 minutes set to music, and you'll have judges that score you on various different aspects. For example, sometimes it's string hits. Sometimes it's sort of how dense the trick is. You'll get clicks based on how difficult each element is. Variation, doing different types of tricks, kind of like ice skating, really. It's a little bit like that.
Yeah. And what age range would get, from presumably from school kids right up to grandmas and granddads?
Yeah, we get literally. I mean, I was speaking to a gentleman probably about 2 weeks ago. He'd retired and he was looking to get into it, and he said he did it in the 70s. Wow. And he was just, we had a chat for about an hour about all the yo-yos he used to have and wanted recommendations. Probably the oldest person I've ever taught was around 78, 79. So yeah, it's all takes all sorts, all ages.
You've got to get a 78-year-old yo-yo. Okay, fantastic. Luke, thanks so much for being on. I'm quite embarrassed. How can we contact you and buy all your yo-yos?
Yes, if you just, my website is yoyovillage.co.uk. You can pop along there. We've also got a Facebook group as well, where you can come along, ask questions, ask for help, and I'm also on TikTok as well.
Luke, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll head over
to .co.uk.
Thanks so much. And,
right, cheers.